Hello everyone, welcome back to the Velocity channel where this is your bridge to financial freedom. Today we're going to go ahead and break down how you need to think, and this is just a suggestion, all right? How you need to think about your finances, especially if you are a business owner. This applies to absolutely everything because if you're in life, you're in business, okay? But before we do that, like, share, and subscribe so that everyone around the world can know the power of velocity banking. Are you ready? Well, so am I. Listen, folks, I know that you've been taught that budgeting is a good thing. But you and I know that budgeting sucks. As a matter of fact, I hate saying the word. I actually substitute for budgeting a map, right? A money allocation plan. I like that word instead. But what if I told you that we have the wrong mindset when it comes to budgeting? Because a lot of times you'll hear people say, listen, all you got to do is be frugal. All you have to do is get on the red beans and cardboard diet. You have to eat ramen noodles and, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to do that. What if we could, instead of budgeting, we could wisely allocate whatever it is that's coming into us. So all the income, we just got to place in different sections. Does that make sense? So let me go ahead and suggest to you what I mean, okay? Budgeting. Okay, cross that out. Instead, let's do this. Let's make sure we've got productive expenses, all right? Let's go ahead and prioritize productive expenses. Why? Because did you know, let's just say, if you spent $500 somewhere, that you could yield $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 or more? For instance, if you spent $500 on marketing, that could net you or yield you $2,000 in sales. Now, 2,000 divided by 500 is what? 4, right? So that's a 4x. All I'm saying is when we are still thinking of budgeting, we don't have time to think this way. And if you want to continue budgeting, which that's great, all right? You're good at finances. But how has that multiplied your wealth? Come on, come on, 6-figure earners, come on. How has it multiplied your wealth? You're almost to 7, but what's stopping you from getting to that 7 figures? Have you been introduced to something like this, all right? So we're not going to stop at just the productive expenses. No, we're not. We're going to also, because we are having the mindset of, hey, let's produce, we need protection, right? So let's go ahead and make sure that we have that protection down, that we have the mindset of, okay, I'm going to cover the assets. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to ensure that they are secured or protected, all right? Because if you build, you're building the wealth, right? It just makes sense to go ahead and protect it as well. What else expenses do we need to think of? All right. Of course, we have the lifestyle expenses. That's the groceries. That's everything that you have. Of course, that is also going to take a priority as well. And that goes without saying. But this right here may be where you're going to find more cash flow. And that is the destructive expenses. The destructive expenses. Now, what do I mean by destructive expenses? I'm talking about those expenses that you have each and every month that don't move the needle, or you're not using them, okay? You're not using the gym membership. You're not using the book club membership. You are not using the, let's say, summary membership. You know, you get summaries off of your business books or whatever it is, okay? You're not using it. You're spending $35, $100, $200 for a membership that you are not using. Get rid of that. And what happens when you get rid of that, let's say $30 or $50? That goes immediately into your cash flow, okay? So right there, you have added an extra 50, and yours may be completely different, but an extra $50 on top of the cash flow that you're already bringing in. All right, so if we are in the mindset of budgeting, just know that we wouldn't have enough brain capacity to think this way, all right? Not as much. Now, why do I say that? I mean, what basis do I have to say that? This. Have you ever heard of this? All right. Now, if you are spending $500 in marketing, what is that going to do to your budget? Because you're in the scarcity mindset when you're in the budget mindset. Because all you're doing on this side is you're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about adding value to someone else's life. And I'm not saying erase wise spending, right? That's not what I'm saying with budgeting. All I'm saying is get rid of that mentality of budgeting, all right? Instead, focus on wisely allocating those expenses. Make sure you're getting rid of the destructive expenses. You're going through and you are trimming, if you will, those expenses that are not doing you any good, that you're, of course, living your lifestyle. You don't have to eat the red beans and rice diet, okay? And protecting as well as producing, all right? Now, especially in this day and age, we need to make sure that we are paying ourselves first. Do you understand? All right, so look, I know that I have been disparaging when it comes to savings accounts because I know how it works, you know how it works, but we need to make sure that some of that money is coming to us. So this is what we suggest. Shout out to Gary Gunderson, 15% of our paycheck. This means that if you get paid $10,000, okay, hey, please don't get nervous about the numbers, all right? You stick your numbers in here, all right? The percentage is where I want you to focus. So let's say $10,000 is what you get paid each and every month. Make sure that 15% is going to a wealth capture account. What does that mean? You're capturing that $1,500, 15% of 10,000, and that's going to be yours, all right? Then what you'll do, okay, let's make sure that we are going into that sweep account here. Okay, that's where it's going. And then what you'll do after you have solidified the 15% savings, of course, you're going to pay your bills, all right? Pay your bills each and every month. And then guess what you can do with the rest? Folks, you can spend the rest. Isn't that much more freeing? Don't you feel more freer, right? Rather than, oh man, I have to allocate this to this and this and this, and I have to put my dollars in the envelope. Is everybody taking dollars? How are you going to get online orders? Do you have to ship a check or ship a COD? How many of you remember cash on delivery, CODs? You see what I'm saying? And so please, let's do this instead, right, of budgeting, and it's going to be much more efficient, much more effective in how you handle your money, especially when it comes to cash flow, because it's not necessarily about budgeting, it's about cash flow optimization, cash flow management. So let me go over this one more time. Income, 10,000, 15%. Wealth capture account, right? Because you got that sweep account, all right? You've captured the 15%. You've saved the $1,500 for that month. Now all you got to be concerned about is the bills, and now you can spend the rest. Don't worry about anything else. So let's talk about our next obvious one, which would be what? That's right, 3 tax strategies. So whether you're in business or not, you need to make sure that you're paying as less in taxes as legally possible. One way you can do it is you can make sure that your educational subscriptions are tax deductible, all right? Is that such a thing? Yes, you can. These educational subscriptions, do they relate to your business? And that's why I say, folks, that having a business is the #1 tax strategy, at least in America. So let's go ahead and play it out here. You've got $200 that you're spending each month on an educational subscription. Where did we have subscriptions before? Right? So even if this is a destructive expense, oh man, watch this. Even if this is a destructive expense and you don't use it, guess what? Because this expense is on education and you plan to use it, perhaps to lock in a rate or to lock in this price so that it doesn't go higher, guess what you can do? That's right. It's tax deductible. Now look. When we're talking about business, we're talking about an entirely different world. So what you need to do is, if you're having trouble and maybe starting a business or you're wanting to start a business, I want everyone, right, that is watching this channel to at least try to start a business, because you know and I know that you were built to create something awesome on the earth, all right? So that $200 that you're paying towards education, right? Perhaps for your business, right? That is tax deductible, and you can save on taxes like that. So look, if you are thinking about maybe an S corp, listen, people are saving thousands in making sure that they are transferring their LLCs over into S corp. Now remember, we're talking about legal entities, we're talking about tax information. So please, if you don't have a CPA, if you don't have a lawyer, you can get with us. We got some recommendations. Mark Kohler is ours. He's amazing at it, all right? And so what's the third one, all right? So the first one was making sure that tax deductible, that money that you're paying out, man, make sure it's tax deductible, all right? So you're making money. When the money goes out, make sure it comes back to you. Have you heard that somewhere before? All right, so we got the S corp, all right? We're going to change over the LLC to the S corp if it makes sense to save thousands on payroll tax. And then the third one would be, listen, you got kids? Go ahead and pay them. Tax-free, up to $12,000 tax-free. You can be like Sarah, who saved $8,000 on her taxes. Listen, paid her son $10,000 each and every year. Sarah knows where it's at. So please keep this in mind when you're talking about tax strategies, and as you're spending money, remember the goal is to have as much of that money come back to you as possible. Let's go to the next one. So listen, the fourth thing we're going to want to do here, where we're talking about thinking beyond employee mindset, beyond even employer mindset, we want to have the business and investor mindset. And we want to make sure that we're paying our loans, whether it's a business loan, right, or a personal loan. We want to make sure that we're using what? The cash flow index, okay? Or in other words, the CFI. What exactly is this? Well, say you've got 1, 2, and 3 loans, all right? You're going to need to prioritize them. And I know what you've heard. You've heard that, man, I've got to get rid of the highest interest first, right? The debt avalanche. Or perhaps you've heard, I have to get rid of the minimum monthly payment first. That the one with the minimum monthly payment or the minimum balance, I want to get rid of that one. That way I'm psychologically amped up. You know, I've got rid of this low amount loan. Now I can go on to the next one, right? Well, let's go ahead and introduce you to maybe another thing, and that's the cash flow index. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and share with you a formula that you can use to determine which loan is the most cash flow sucking, and then you can place all your loans, whether it's 3 or 10, you can place your loans in that formula, and it'll show you which ones you need to eliminate first so that you can eliminate them efficiently. That's right. So let's go ahead and share with you what we have over here, which is, there we go. Let's say it's $10,000 is your balance. Boy, we like that number, 10,000, don't we? $10,000 is the balance, while $200 is the minimum monthly payment, okay? Remember, that formula is written like this, okay? So loan balance, LB, in this instance, stands for loan balance. loan balance. Divide that by the minimum monthly payment. In this case, it's 10,000 divided by 200. Remember what we're going to do? I like to get rid of those zeros, right? And then we're going to have what? 50. Now, what are we going to do with the number 50? We're going to put the number 50 on a graph, a line graph. We're going to put 100 over here, and we're going to put 0 over here. The loan that is closest to 0 is the loan you want to take care of first. Now, since this one is an inefficient loan, right? Because 0 to 50 is the danger zone, all right? 0 to 50 inefficient loans, okay? And because this one is at 50, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that one. Now, say there was another one at 60, right? Or 70 or 80. That's the caution zone, meaning that you can either ask the bank for a lower interest rate to increase that cash flow, refinancing, maybe even restructure the loan, because it's all about not paying that much out of your pocket into this minimum monthly payment. Oh, yes, you can. You can talk to the bank about restructuring the loan, especially if you have a reputation of finishing loans on time. You see, it's all about reputation, all right? And so what I want you to keep in mind is this. When we're talking about the cash flow index, when we're talking about eliminating loans, keep this in mind, that we need to keep in mind credit, cash flow, what else? Collateral, all right? Why? Because all of these are going to affect how you pay down each and every loan. Now, you know that we pay down loans, and we are not afraid or ashamed to do it, right? We pay down loans with our lines, right? And so it's not something that we are afraid of. Perhaps that's not your practice. Definitely not my practice. However, we're not ashamed, and we do it. Why? Because we can switch out that high interest and replace it with lower interest. Okay, shout out to all those that got the First-Lien, HELOC, Thomas, Brenda. Okay, credit, cash flow, and collateral. We want to think about those 3 C's so that we have an upper hand as we are eliminating all of our loans. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. Can you spend your way to wealth? You absolutely can when you spend your money the correct way. Remember the productive expenses. Remember the protective expenses. Remember those beautiful expenses, okay? Because that's going to not only protect your wealth, it's going to help you get more and more wealth. So yes, you can spend your way to wealth. You just can't save your way to wealth. Amen. Now look, when we're talking about spending our way to wealth, one of the roadmap elements that we can take is, let's say you have an Amazon Visa card, 5% on $10,000, right? So you have 10K, right, at 5%. All right, now we're not talking about any loans on this. We're talking about 5% cash back. All right, that's what we're talking about. What does that equal out to for the year? $500. Listen, you're getting rewarded for spending the money you were already going to be spending. Does that make sense? And so that's $500 each and every year. All right. Now that's yours, and good job. All right. Next thing you want to keep in mind is your top 3 spending categories. Productive expenses, protective expenses, and you also have the lifestyle expenses. Get yourself a card that is going to reward you, right, for spending money on these top 3 expenses. So make sure that card, whether it's the Amazon card or maybe another card, MasterCard, Discover, Visa, whatever it is, make sure those top 3 spending categories are on there, because that's the money that you're already going to be spending. You might as well get rewarded for it. Are you sure? Now, yes, I'm sure. All right. So put the cash back into, once you get the cash back, put it back into either your investments or that wealth capture account, right? So that it's above that $1,500 if that's your scenario. Remember that $10,000 scenario that we talked about? So folks, I just want you to remember that, all right? So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and recap what we just talked about. So the bottom line would be this, all right? We want to make sure that you stop your cash flow leaks, all right? Let's start right there. Number 2, we want to automate those savings by putting into place, right, the income, and then from the income, where are we going, right? Remember that 15%, all right? Listen, you got to pay your bills, all right? And you also have to save. But listen, you don't have to categorize and itemize every such thing. Listen, after you've done paying your bills, after you're done saving, spend the rest, okay? Life is so precious, all right? So automate those savings. Make sure you've got set up a wealth capture account. If you need help with that, here we are, all right? Number 3, reduce those loan costs. How can we do that, right? We can talk to the bank. We sure can. Reduce those loan costs. Make sure that you're prioritizing the cash flow indicator so that you know what your number is on each and every loan. When you know that you need to pay off this inefficient loan as fast as possible, you can then prioritize that. Maybe pay the minimum monthly payments on the others, but prioritize that one. And as you get rid of that one, you can also get rid of the rest, taking over that excess cash flow. And then, of course, number 4, spend your way to wealth. Make sure that you have in mind the productive expenses. That's the expenses that you will place towards your business, your investments. I want you to take advantage of these rewards, okay? Cashback rewards are awesome. $500 off of $10,000 that you were going to spend anyway. Listen, they taught me in school. Now, they did teach me something. And they taught me this, that $500 is greater than $0. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Listen, which one are you going to prioritize? Tell me in the comments below. God bless you, and we'll see you in another video.